Okay, so a typical application that gives a lot of people fits is trying to reliably detect shiny or irregular objects, maybe moving past the sensor at different angles, and just they kind of struggle keeping the output on to keep it from flickering. I have seen it in the past where they can find one that's halfway reliable and they turn on timers, but any kind of timer delay could cause issues in the future if spacing between targets ever changes or speed ever changes. You don't want to have to mess with those timers. So typically in applications like this, we would try to recommend through-beam. Through-beam sensors are really good with those types of applications. It doesn't matter if the light bounces off, as long as it's not getting back to the receiver, the output's going to be on. But in a lot of cases, the customer cannot have a receiver on the other end, so they just need a diffuse sensor at pretty good range, medium type range in these applications. Retroreflective is another option that a lot of people try, but we've seen some weird occasions where that output still flickers depending on the target. So what I'm going to show today is the Powerprox. Also wanted to mention that there's already a video posted on Sick's YouTube page on the OBSB output. The OBSB output is basically just object between the sensor and the background. It's really tuned in for this type of application, and it is built into a lot of our medium range distance sensors, so like the DT50 or the DT80. But I'm showing the Powerprox here today. It's got a medium range, 50 millimeters to almost 4 meters. So pretty good range out of this, and basically the OBSB mode is just an inverse window mode. So if I go to detection, and what I have set up here is I just have the sensor facing the wall at about a half meter away, so you can see the distance down here at the bottom is 578. If I were just to, let me just take all these other outputs out of the way and just leave Q1. So if I were to just teach this in, let's just say I want to ignore the background and catch everything in front of it. Let's just make this 570. So if I make that 570, then anything that blocks in between the wall and the sensor, in the minimum range of the sensor, the output's going to come on. But this is the occasion. This is the occasion where we want to keep the output on and not have it flicker. So I just have a mirror here. And if I move this through, the output's still going to be on because the light's bouncing off and hitting the ceiling, and it's still seeing something behind it. But there you go. You caught a flicker of the occasion where if I can bounce this off at just the right area, it goes away and all the light is bounced off. There you go. All the light's bounced off. It's at 30 meters is what it's showing, which all that means is no light is getting back to the receiver of the sensor, and the output goes off. So ideally, this is coming through. Let's say it's a car frame, or it's a pallet of shiny bottles spinning around, and it's got weird angles, and occasionally it could get to that point. Well, we want to make sure the output stays on and doesn't flicker. So how do we do that? We can't do it with a single point teach-in. We can do it with a window mode. So I'm going to turn off Q1, turn on Q2, and set it to window mode. And I'm literally just going to click and drag and move this window right around the background. So if you have a stable background, you can set up the window to be just around that. So it's 517 to 570. The wall fits in between that window. And then anything that goes in between, actually I'm going to invert that output to kind of show the same thing. So anything that is out of that window, it's going to say the output's on, which is what I want. So let's get back to that occasion where now I got the light shining off, and let me find, there's 30,000 millimeters. So no light's getting back and the output is still on. So if all the light is absorbed or all the light's bouncing off in a different direction, it doesn't matter, the output won't flicker. All that matters is, all that sensor's looking for is a distance value that's within that window. So as soon as it goes back and sees the background, output goes off, and then anything in between, output's going to be on. Well, of course I did that a little crazy. I was bouncing it off the table, and if I hit the table at just the right distance, that's going to cause issues. So if there's something nearby, and that is a possibility that could cause problems, but more than likely there's going to be nothing, there's not going to be a table right here that could cause that problem. And then anything in between absorbs all the light, it's going to see the target. So that's essentially just an inverted OBSB mode. Is just setting up a window mode, teaching it to a background, and then any shiny target and the light bounces off, you can reliably detect it. Not really for measuring, but any time of flight sensor that has the ability to do a window mode can work this way. So let us know if you have any questions.